Let's talk about WPPI 2024. This is ArtIsRight. The convention was lit. The energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm that the photographer were there brought to this show was just really awesome. Let me put it this way. I haven't seen WPPI this packed for the past decade. Even the show that were pre-pandemic weren't really quite this energetic, and there's just something that's really amazing about it. Normally at the trade show floor in the afternoon, day 2 and day 3, we would see a slowdown. This time around, we were getting people that were filling the show floor for all 3 days throughout the entire day. This is really awesome. And I also want to say thank you to those of you to follow my channel, watch my videos, who stopped me on the show floor to shake my hand, to say thank you, say hello, ask questions about color management, or take a selfie with me. I appreciate all of those, and it's really great to meet you in person. So if you see me at a future trade show, please, by all means, stop me, say hello. I appreciate all of those. And I want to give a shout out to my friend as well. It's really awesome to be able to spend time with you, find out what's happening in your life, what's happening in your photographic life, and catch up for a little bit while we were there. You guys know who you are. I appreciate you. Now, let's talk about WPPI. I've been going there for 2 decades now, and my role has been changing throughout. I have been an attendee, the official photographer for the show for a few years. I have been a speaker both on the platform and also on the trade show floor. Portfolio critique, I was there representing BenQ during the years that they were there. So I have so many different roles that I've played at WPPI, but it's just really awesome to be there. Now, in the US, there are 2 big conventions. Imaging USA, which generally happens on the East Coast of the United States, and WPPI, which happens in Vegas. Now, imaging tends to focus a little bit more on portrait. Some wedding portrait photographer international, that's WPPI, tend to focus a little bit more on weddings and some portrait involved. But here's the thing. If you are a photographer of another discipline, you can definitely still come to the show, if not come to the trade show, because you can still meet the different vendors. You don't have to be doing these 2 type of photographic craft. But that also shows you the landscape as well, that the photo convention on the national level is also shrinking a little bit. Where at some point we also have Photo Plus, which is more commercial, more general photography. That's no longer around. BH has their Built Expo. Hopefully that will be coming back. I think next year they may be coming back, so that's really great to see and also hear about as well. But WPPI, since I have gone to the show for more than 2 decades now, have always been in Vegas, and this year there were some changes. So WPPI have also combined in the Portrait Master, the Wedding Master, and Icon Imaging Awards. So this is now pretty much the bigger WPPI that combines all these different entities. And the last one I want to point out too is the Icon Imaging Awards, that you can submit your image for a print competition that's pretty much judged on a really strict guideline by your peers who've been well trained. And if you qualify with a certain points and so forth, you would get merits, combine most of these merits, and you would then get an accolade or award in the end. Some really great things that you might want to consider doing. But personally for me, I like this trade show because it gives you the opportunity to meet with the company rep, ask a question, and network with them. Because many companies now are doing the DTC, direct-to-consumer model, or just offering services that you're not going to find at your local camera store. For example, a company that does this a lot is SMDV. So SMDV is not in many camera stores, and if you try to go find your local ones, you may not find them, but they do make these Softbox, these fast, rapid deploy Softbox that I've been reviewing extensively on my channel. I'll leave a link to those videos in the description, and also I'll put the promo code as well that they're running for the show. There is an expiration date to that, so make sure you check that, but this is a great opportunity to look into their product. Now, another thing that I also want to say about their Softbox as well is that SMDV also manufactures many of the Softbox for BH, for Adorama, and Profoto as well. So if you see something that looks very similar to SMDV product, it really is SMDV product branded with another company brand on it. So they're also an OEM manufacturer. Very interesting enough. So there are many backdrop companies at the show floor. One of them that I want to give a shout out to was Backdrop Gallery, because one of my friends, Giancarlo GC, flew in from Toronto to do a demo, tether shooting. He was showing his technique and also showing what he's capturing live on a BenQ display. And it was also great to see a BenQ display there on the trade show as well. So these are all interesting to see. So noticeably absent this time around from the shows are the photo lab. There's really only about 1.5 photo lab. And the reason why I say that is because White House Custom Color, WHCC, has a smaller footprint, but they do have a booth there, whereas H&H was there, but they're really only sponsoring the shooting bay and only have very limited amount of products to show. And interestingly enough, the past few years have been the conundrum of we're now going to a photography trade show without many camera companies, or without many camera companies really being committed to the show. This time around, we have photo labs that are not necessarily fully committed to the show. And I wish that all would just really come, because it's a great place to meet the customers and for us to also meet you as well. So if you haven't gone this year, I hope that next year would be something different that you guys would consider coming. Now, with that being said, spread out throughout the show floor are different shooting bays with lighting already set up, with different photographers leading a shoot, and you can bring your cameras in to shoot. Some of them are LED light that you can just photograph with the models that are there. Some of the other ones you need a trigger for the flash, but they do hand a trigger to you, tell you the setting that you need to use, and now you can capture those pictures. Now, if you ever use those pictures for marketing purposes, I would just be explicitly clear that those were photographed with others' lighting setup, or that was through a workshop or something like that, just to be, total transparent about it. So a few notable companies I want to give a shout out to that I think is interesting that might have, slipped by some of you guys that were there too, was one of them is Next Storage. Now, there are Sony former engineers that have formed together to create a storage manufacturer company. These are memory cards you use in your camera. This happens to be the SD card that they gave one to me to try out. So I have been testing this card. It's been working out well. This is an SD card UHS-2 Pro. Now, I haven't looked so much into their company yet, but in terms of pricing and everything, but if they can price it better than the competitors that are out there in the market and also offer an alternative, I think this would be really awesome. So I'm hoping to be working more closely with the company and reviewing more of their products as they come out, especially with CF Express Type A. Those are really great. The other company I want to actually shout out to is Newell. So Newell is a manufacturer. They have LED lights, which are showing me a lot of really amazing capabilities. But the thing that really caught my attention the most was an alternative to the OEM, the camera manufacturer battery. So they were telling me that their cells come with higher capacity, which is always great to hear. They're saying that they're using good quality cells, and there's different lineup, but one of the lineup also has a USB-C pretty much built into the battery. So if you need to charge the battery up, you can just plug a USB-C in and charge it up right away without having used a dock to charge your battery, and those are something different. Now, I've seen many of these battery manufacturer comes and goes, but if they could really, stay around and also provide a great product, that would be really awesome. Hopefully we'll get some of their products in to do review. I am going to see what we can do with regards to that. Now, the other thing is that most of the major camera companies are there. And talking about going to a photo trade show, you want to see these major camera companies. Not necessarily that you're going to switch brand or buy into another one, but it's always great to see what is really out there in the market and get to see them all at once and get a chance to chat with their expert from the company himself. Now, the first company I want to shout out to is Sony. They have their Pro service there for check and clean. They have 2 shooting demo areas that are showing off their A9 III with global shutter. So this camera is really awesome. Now, this is the first generation global shutter from Sony, and no other camera company is doing this at the moment. But I mean, in the future, we're going to see better sensor technology, better ISO, better dynamic range. So this is the new future, and it looks really exciting. There were a whole bunch of gears that you can really touch and try. They were also handing out free cold brew coffee, which I love. And best of all, they also offer a camera and lens loaner while you're at the show to try out. And they also have photo walk as well, which are led by their artisans, which is really cool. Now, one thing that I really want to note there is they have different demo, but the demo that really caught my attention was their FX6. This is their pro video camera that has the electronic variable ND filter. And they were doing this demo where the camera was pretty much the lens is going in and out of church, so the lighting environment was different, but the camera is able to compensate automatically, all the while keeping the ISO, the shutter speed, and the f-stop the same. And this is really awesome because you're not really changing the way how your image is looking. Now, this is not really for photography, but I mean, if they could bring that technology, the electronic variable ND filter, and put it into a normal camera that we use like the Sony Alpha, I mean, that would be really awesome. I also got a chance to take a quick peek at their new device as well, which are really meant for, I would say, more news photographer, that you can plug your camera right into it and pretty much upload using Ethernet port. There's like HDMI port and everything on there. It's really kind of cool. But their software, their Creator app, is also really neat too, because they just updated to a new version where you can plug in a cable between your phone and your camera, and you can browse directly what's on the camera, and it's super fast now. You no longer require wireless connection. That, to me, is really awesome. You can also control the camera directly that way too. No more going through the menu trying to set things up. That is really cool. All right, so Canon was also there with a shooting demo areas. They were showing their gears. They also have printers, and these large format printers are really fantastic what they have to offer. Now, Canon is also doing something very similar to Sony, offering gear loans, and this is something I love to see. I wanted to participate in that, but I ran out of time, so I didn't have the opportunity to do so. Hopefully next time. They also have their Pro Check and Clean there, so they were offering a lot. Nikon was mostly about presentation. I think they may have one or two like shooting demos, mostly or just presentation and conversation on stage. They do have their Check and Clean for Pro, but I didn't see any gear loans or any photo walk or anything like that at all. Although what's interesting is during the show, their corporate office did release, on the last day, or I think the second or last day of the show, that Nikon's now purchase or acquire Red Camera, the video camera company. And the night before I saw the thing, I thought was rumored, didn't pay attention much. The next morning I saw the release, like, oh my God, this is a big deal. So it's going to be very interesting what's going to be coming out from Nikon, especially what may be coming up soon in about a month at NAB. And I'll be there as well, so if you see me there, stop me and say hello. Fuji was there doing photo walks. They were doing Check and Clean. I think they were also offering camera loaners as well. I'm not sure about that one, but I know they were showing their X106 at the show, which was a really nice camera that they're doing. Fuji is doing a lot of right things, and they're also showing a lot of their medium format camera too. Panasonic and my friend was there, Lumic Ambassador, Suzette Allen, so she was doing a portrait demo, answering questions about the camera system, but nonetheless, the energy was really great. You can see all these cameras companies are really pulling on the stop at the show, on the trade show floor, and that's really great. Tamron and Sigma was there as well, though Sigma was there with a Check and Clean. I don't think Tamron have something like that. And another company that I haven't seen at the show that doesn't go to show that much is DNP. So DNP are doing dye sublimation printing, and I have one of their printers as well. And it's really great to see them there showing their different printers and so forth. It's just awesome to see. Anyway, Honda Mill was there, and they were the only paper mill that was there at the show. And I have a chance to meet Richard Strudevant. I hopefully pronounced his name right. He was showing how he used color pencil to pretty much add depth to his photographic print on Honda Mill paper, and I thought that was really cool. Got a chance to talk with the Honda Mill rep, all really awesome things. AI was a big theme this year, and it's really all the conversation is about. Now, a decade ago, the conversation would be about having companies that are out there trying to sell you the culling services, editing services. Now, this time around, it's all about AI. But a few things I want to caution you about AI is be careful and ask a lot of questions. The reason why I say this is because you want to find out what this AI is doing. Is this AI culling? Is it enhancing the image during retouching? Or all of the above, and is it all encompassing in one single program? Does this workflow integrate back into Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, or Capture One, the program that you use? These are very important information to find out. The other thing is that every company that I have spoken with all offer different models. Some of them are one monthly price subscription. You can do as many shoots as you like. You can put in as many pictures. Some of them are going to be based on the number of images that you put through. So these are things that you kind of really want to think about as well as you're looking into AI services. Some of the companies that I want to call out, one of them is Imogen, and the other company is also Aftershoot. I'll be hopefully reviewing their product into my channel. If you'd like to see more of that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really like to hear what you think about that. Adobe was there offering classes, both the traditional platform classes and also classes on the show floor as well. They were showing a lot of tips and techniques using the new feature in the program, for example, Photoshop Generative Fill, and all the new things that are in Lightroom, especially with AI. Tons of album companies are there, but notably this time around, most of the companies that were there are established names that I have seen for so many years already. Very few new companies that I have seen at the show, which is very different from about 10 years ago, because we would see a lot more new album companies, but I don't think we're seeing that much of them anymore. Most of them, like I said, are established. Other companies were there as well that has to do with photography, but not necessarily with wedding and portrait. Benisi was there. They were showing their filter lens, and they have different accessories. In fact, I got their micro rail to do like micro photography, and that's always been something that I was looking for. Small Rig and Ziyun was there. There was a robot photo booth of just this robot running around with a DNP printer on the inside, camera on the top. You can take a picture and the robot would just print it right out for you. I thought that was kind of cool. That's something new. And I was talking to one of my friends, Lathan, who was just like, hey, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to offer this as a service, and you can really recoup the return on this fairly quickly. It's kind of very similar to a robot you see at a restaurant, but you can have that roaming around at the wedding. I thought that was a neat, interesting trend. The other thing that I also want to point out towards was that at one point in time we would have this trend for like video books that you open up and your video would be playing with a slide and still and everything. There's still a few companies that are offering that, but I think that trend this time around has, it's one of those things that's going to fade away more than just stay around. I think it's going to end up becoming a niche where some may offer that, but I think most photographers are probably not going to be offering that. Another thing that I have seen a lot of is photographers that are photographing an event and they're capturing your picture with a camera. They pretty much link it up to an iPad right away, and pretty much these are identifying your face and texting you the picture as you're getting captured throughout the night. There's a few companies that offer these services now. From my experience, it's still either like a hit or miss. It's not always 100% hit because there are people who are definitely not me that I've got texts from. So I think they're refining the algorithm, but it's really interesting to see where this whole area is going. Other lighting companies are there, Godox, Stella, and many other more. I mean, Nan Lights, there's probably too many to really talk about. BH and Adorama, the two big photo stores, were also there at the show. Amongst that, B&C Camera, that's in Vegas, and Pixel's camera store. So there are a few camera stores that were there, but the one that really takes the show would be BH, because not only is BH there to really just market BH in general, but they also were playing host to Panasonic Lumix. They were also playing host to Canon, to Lexar memory card, to Dell computers. They were also playing host to Westcott backdrop and lighting, and many other companies as well that were, that BH sell their product to. So that's also really great to see that other brands were coming out, maybe not necessarily their own, but also coming out under BH umbrella. I'm going to say this. If you have a chance to go to a photo trade show, I would definitely go to one. It's a great opportunity to meet, to network with people. And this is one thing that I hope. I hope that WPPI can maintain this energy next year as well. And I'm hoping that Imaging USA, that's also going to happen in Texas, is going to be a lit show too, because it depends on where it is when it comes to Imaging USA. Certain places are harder or more difficult to get to than others, whereas WPPI always is going to be in Vegas. But this time around though, it's going to be at the Rio, which is off strip, so we're going to have to see how the energy is going to change at WPPI. But so far, I think that regardless of where you are, if one convention is closer to you, I would definitely go to that one. You may not have to go to both, but I would highly encourage that if you're a photographer, you're in the US, and you can get to these with somewhat of an ease, I would pick one and just go to it, because it's a great opportunity to meet other people, to meet the companies, and also to find out about cool new products and get your hands on a lot of things that you may not see at your local camera store. But that was a lot of information that I've shared with you. I hope that you find this helpful, and this would encourage you to go to the show in future years as well. If you have any questions or comment, leave them below. Give this a like, subscribe to the bell if you're new, and in art we trust.